What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hopefully you have subscribed on iTunes or Google Play or gone to YouTube and found the show, or you found it on Facebook somehow, which I don't know how that would get out unless you're friends with somebody who's also in the Facebook group, which if you are, great, feel free to join that as well. But either way, you guys are listening, and I appreciate that very much. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Josh Brant. Met this gentleman on Twitter, through the Twitter sphere of everybody, Sean Capri. Yeah, I mean, lately I've had a lot of my guests be former guests of Sean's show, but they've all been really cool people, and they've all loved to come on and share their stories, so why would I not want people on the show to share their stories? If you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. I also want to apologize. There was a moment in the show where it got a little connection issue. I apologize. Normally it doesn't happen, but I wanted to, at least point it out and everything. So without further ado, let's get things started with Josh Brant. Do you remember what got you started playing games? Was it a family member, friend, coworker, kiosk at a store? Not a coworker. You're a child. Do you remember what initially got you started?
Yeah.
What was
it? Well, the time that I started was actually the Atari 2600. I can't believe I still remember this, but it was when, and it started with the worst game of all, the notoriety of the worst game of all time, an E.T.
Ugh.
And yeah, that's the game I remember playing the most, actually. I had Star Wars, the Star Wars game for the Atari 2600 too, which that was basically just Empire Strikes Back, the Hoth level on replay all the time. Like you saw the walkers in their heavily pixelated form, and then you're just a snow speeder just trying to blast them, and like stuff like that. There wasn't much to it, but it was cool at the time, Let's see. I wasn't a Nintendo kid per se when I first grew up. I really got into gaming, I feel, when the Genesis came along.
Yay, and Genesis kid.
Yep, exactly. I'll defend Sonic games till I die. That's for sure. Sonic 2, that holds a special place. Streets of Rage, 2 and 3 in particular. I remember for 3 when you can unlock the special kangaroo character. I love doing that. I just gaming wasn't really passed down from my family. My dad and mom weren't really gamers, but like I said, they bought things for me, and I had a lot of friends. One of my friends that I podcast with, James, he owned he's owned all the Nintendo systems. So if I wanted my Nintendo fix, I would just go spend the night there. And so
that was always a good thing.
Yeah, for Super Mario World, when that first came out, I was there all the time because I just wanted to play that. And same with the N64 with Super Mario 64. I was like, I got to get on this. And that's when I bought my first Nintendo console, was with the Nintendo 64.
So how did you initially come across an Atari 2600, and also how the hell did you stay into gaming when you played ET? Because I'm surprised you survived and continued on doing it.
Well, at that time I was so young. It was just the art of playing something on screen, that entices you. As a kid, and I don't know why my parents had, because like I said, they weren't gamers, but I think they found it as a good outlet for me. It's something that I enjoyed doing. They could tell from arcades and the like. So that's when I got the Atari 2600, and like I said, I had pretty much every classic Atari 2600 game you could think of, from adventure, where you're the small cube and you're going around and you fight this what looks like a big cube, but it's supposedly a dragon. And then
you had to have an imagination back then. They didn't have the graphics.
I even had the crappy Pac-Man game. That's another notorious one for being such a bad offshoot.
Right.
But at the time, it's hey, it's Pac-Man, and I'll play it. So, and then Pitfall, that was another one that I had, and that I remember that one just being so hard that I gave up on it fast. But I'd like to go back to it because I'm sure I'd be much better now. But
I'd hope so, because I mean, there's certain games that you can go back and look on, and there's games that are. It's funny because some games you go back and go, wow, this is actually easy, but then you go back and play some games, you're like, holy shit, this is like really difficult. Like,
how did I ever get past?
How did I play this? Did I start? Yeah. Do I suck now? Was I just way better then? Like, you have to think about those things, and also. Nothing wrong with that Star Wars Hoth level, because literally, like, any of those Rogue Squadron games, I was like, dude, let me just play a snowspeeder. Let me just hook a cable up and just spin in circles and drop this walker.
That's every Star Wars game except for Knights of the Old Republic. They have a Hoth level.
If they have the Hoth level, like, we're all good. So there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, like back then, you kind of didn't have. You had to have an imagination, but also too, I mean, like the best part was the box art kind of was part of it, because like you would see the box art and go, for certain games, you see the box art and go, cool, that's what that on screen is supposed to be. Like the worst thing is like if you gave somebody blind, like, hey, go play this and tell me what you think these pixelations are supposed to be. Who the hell knows what it would be? You know what I mean?
The box art was
some crazy stuff.
It was so amazing back then, and you didn't have anything else to compare it to. Like now we have all these consoles. We can compare the old games and new games coming out, but at that time that was just Atari. Right. And you had the arcade cabinets, but of course you wouldn't compare it to those because that was state of the art at that time. But right. It was pretty awesome. I
also think like the Atari 600, I mean, I can imagine your parents having one solely because of the, like, at that time, it was kind of like, and then Nintendo eventually became this and everything, was like a staple in a house. You know what I mean? Like, people just had it because of Pong or Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or something. You know what I mean? Like,
the new fad thing. Yeah, exactly. Technology.
So it was just like the thing that, just like a VCR. Like, everyone and their mother had a VCR at one point in time. Everyone and their mother had a Nintendo. Like, people had a Nintendo even if they didn't really play Nintendo or an NES. Like, people had one. And then what's funny is, of course, you get the moms out there that just refer to everything as a Nintendo. You know, that's always funny. Like, go play your Nintendo. Mom is a Genesis. It's not a Nintendo.
Get it right.
Get it right. You are
Sonic Mario.
Out. Yeah, clear difference. One's blue and runs fast. The other one jumps higher. Has a green little dinosaur he sits on. But no, I mean, that was the thing. Is like, I can imagine your parents getting one. You know, like you said, even your parents weren't really big gamers. Probably got one just because of like some game, and like, or a party thing that's like had people play when they're over the house or whatever. But I mean, at least they were cool enough to, even though they weren't gamers, to not discourage you from playing it. Like, right? You know, they were like, hey, it's something for him to do. And again, like,
stay out of trouble.
Right? And of course, E.T. You know, it's just flashing colors in your face. I mean, you didn't know any better.
Right. I look back at it now. I wish I still had all that stuff.
Have you ever watched that documentary, the Game Over documentary, that Xbox?
Yeah.
Game? Yeah.
That was really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, they actually did uncover all those old cartridges.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be very fun, though, to be digging in the trash at a dump, you know, and like that part, I bet they were like, man, could have gone without that. But no, it's interesting. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that they put that game together so quick.
That was such a dark time for gaming, too, because no one knew where it was going to go. They thought it was just this flash in the pan sort of deal. But then Nintendo, of course, comes and saves the day.
Yeah, thank God.
Mario.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Mario. So did you have any siblings to play games with? I mean, obviously you had friends, you said, but did you ever have any siblings that you were like, that constantly would play with you or anything, or no?
No, I have one sister, and she was really not a gamer at all, surprisingly enough. For how much I was in front of the TV, she really didn't want to have anything to do with gaming. And she to this day, her husband, he actually has an N64, and he plays classic games more than the newer games. And now she's playing more than she ever did before. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, my main gaming was with my friends. Like I said, I'd make it a priority to try to spend the night at Jamie's house. Even though he's a good friend, I just want to be there too to play what was out at the time, you know, especially
that was the thing you did. You spent the night at your buddy's house, especially if they were like, my mom's going to rent this game, dude. Like, yep, we're staying the night.
Oh yeah, and that's the big thing, Blockbuster and all that stuff. Yeah,
that was
renting all these crappy games. Yeah.
Superman. That was man. that was always a problem. Like, if you got a game that was just garbage and you were like, shit, I'm stuck with this for the weekend.
And I was going to mention Superman 64. That was one of those. Yeah, my friend Lothery, he rented it one time when I was over there, and we were expecting to play it all night. And it was just like 5 minutes. It's just like, man, even at the time, you could tell it was total garbage.
Yeah. I mean, that was what sucked is like, especially if you rented a game, it was like, shit, that sucks for a weekend. If you bought a bad game, man, like that was depressing.
Just in trouble.
Yeah. You're just like, oh
You're stuck
shit,
with it.
what am I going to do? I got to start to like this trash. But yeah, I mean, I mean, thankfully I didn't, for the most part, when I was gaming and younger, I was mostly playing whatever was kind of popular at the time. You know, I didn't go off the beaten path too much. There was always like the random game that I would get, but yeah, I mean, I had a Genesis and I never had a Super or anything. I had like one buddy that had a Super Nintendo, so I got to play Mario World and stuff, but like I never got into RPGs really until later, like PlayStation, because the guy who had the Super just wasn't into them, so I never got to experience those games. But like, yeah, dude,
right.
On Genesis, man, Streets of Rage, Sonic. Of course, now it sucks is like people look back on that 16-bit era and they think all the Super Nintendo games, and Genesis doesn't get as much of a mention. There are still really good Genesis games, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I remember like the worst was, and some games hold up, some games don't. Comic Zone.
That was incredible. The art style and that's what
good.
Stuck out the most.
Yeah, the art style was good. Like the whole
brutally hard.
Yeah, it was on Xbox Game Pass and I downloaded it and played it, and I'm just like, this game, what the fuck, man? Like, it's hard, and like there's different things that just don't make sense to me. Like there's doors, and you could beat up a door to open it, but every time you hit it, it takes away your health, and you're like. This seems counterproductive. Like, I don't want to lose my health, but I have to get past this door. So I
need as much health as I can get.
Right, exactly. And then like hit detection's weird, and it's just like. But again, that was what we had back then, and I think it was just they were still obviously figuring things out. But certain games like that's art style is still awesome. Like I would love to see. I think there was a game called Drawn to Death. I thought that had like that pencil drawn art style, which I think is cool, but. Yeah, dude, that game, and then you could turn into a superhero, and you could rip a page off and throw a paper airplane, and I'm like, that's
so
just,
innovative.
Yeah, just such
at the time.
Crazy cool shit. And then there was duds like Echo the Dolphin. You were like, what do I do?
That's the game. Your parents think that's like this nice little game, educational game you can play. It's just like send sound waves. Where am I supposed to go? I never got. I know there's something when you get further. There's like aliens and stuff, and I'm like. But I never got to that point. I just could not.
There was like sharks on the cover. You're like, where do I get these sharks? The back cover, there's like sharks and like jellyfish and like all this shit. And you're like, when do I get to that? Like, nah, you got to deal with all this.
You think about it, though, it was pretty innovative at the time, though, as far as like exploration and just trying to, as an old adventure game, just trying to find where you're supposed to go and who you're supposed to talk to. And I'd like to give it a try, actually, again. Yeah. I have the Sega Genesis collection for my PS3. I can't remember if it's on there or not. But.
I'm pretty sure it is. The crazy shit is there's like, it seems like every generation since like PlayStation 2 era, there's always a Genesis collection that comes out. Like there's another one coming out for the new consoles.
And out soon.
Like, yeah. Jesus, like they just keep coming out.
But that one doesn't have Sonic. I think it only goes up to Sonic 2. I don't even think it has Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles.
I think it has 1, 2, and Knuckles. And the crazy...
That's weird.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know this, but the reason why is because of the music licensing in Sonic 3. Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's what fucked it up. It's crazy, but yeah, that's kind of what ended up happening.
He just like one track was oh, and then
yeah, I mean, well, like
yeah, promise.
And it's crazy because now some of the newer games kind of deal with the same thing. You know, like some of the newer games, like you know, for example, a license on a song goes away, and now they have to like pull it from the store and redo the license, and you know, like some of the games that are trying to come backward compatible to Xbox and stuff, they can't because of the music in the game unless they strip the music out. Like, there's a lot.
Alan Wake.
Yeah, that happened to Alan Wake, and like, there's just that. Grand Theft Auto 4 just had a patch where like half the songs or something were just gone and they had to replace them. So it's kind of crappy, but I mean, that does happen, and it's crazy that stuff happens now, but also it happens from games way back when. But also, again, I'm assuming the licensing was completely different back then. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't think about that kind of shit. They were also, too, like, licensed music from, like, a really big artist like Michael Jackson. Like, they were like, well, we'll be fine. Nah, it's going to prevent some shit going down the road. But that's okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, did you ever expand upon the Genesis? Did you ever go 32X, Sega CD, any of that crazy Transformer shit they tried to do?
No, mainly because we didn't have the money at the time, but also just because you could see, I could even tell at the time, it was just like, they had like games like Night Trap, and I wanted to play Sonic CD, but the games weren't really like, oh, I need to play that. They didn't appeal to me at the time,
right?
Too, so that was a weird time. Sega, they were really trying to experiment, trying to get ahead of Nintendo, but it just
they just kept doing. They just kept trying to. The worst was like, they just kept trying to add to the Genesis like a goddamn Transformer. Like, they just kept trying to make it better and better, and you're just like, dude, you guys need to cut
this bulky mess. Yeah,
with 3 power adapters, and like, it was just a nightmare. And you know, you're right though. But some of the games, like the worst was some of the full motion video games, because there was motion video, and we were like, holy shit. But then they were like the size of a postage stamp on your TV, and you're like, oh, okay, like that's weird. But yeah, I mean, the Sonic CD though, good Sonic game. Like, it actually
really is a really good Sonic game.
Yeah, it's got really good music. The 32X side of it was just, again, it just became a ridiculous mess. But again, they tried. It's funny because Super just made the chips in the games better, so they had that like FX chip that made some games look better, and that's all. And then like Sega's like, we're gonna add on a whole new thing to your system to make the games look better.
That was really the death knell for Sega, in my opinion. Because they released the Saturn shortly after that, but it just never. You could tell it was about the games by then, because Nintendo had knocked it out of the park with all their classics at the time release, with Super Metroid and Legend of Zelda and all those types of games. So
yeah, it just felt like, in my opinion, it felt like Sega never had, like, they had Sonic, but other than that, like, they didn't have those like. That like stable of franchises that were so good to make people want to buy their consoles. Whereas like Nintendo had just stacks of them. Like, yeah, they had your Zeldas, your Marios, the whole series of like Mario Kart, and then Final Fantasy and Square and all the RPGs, and like they had like a stable of shit that could come out all the time. And then Sega had Sonic, and then they would try, like I said, Comic Zone, Vector Man, Echo.
What was that? Genie game? Was it Dreams? Was it called? No, not Dreams.
Well, Dreams was on Saturn. I know that.
Okay, I was thinking about. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
because there's Dreams coming out for the PS4 soon.
Right. But, yeah, not that one that's been taking 9 years to come out. But no, like they have. They just, it sucks because it just felt like they were trying so hard, but they couldn't catch on with one of their IPs besides Sonic that like people really wanted a Genesis for, other than the fact that the Genesis had Blood in Mortal Kombat, and you know, they were like the edgier console, so like some people liked it for that. Right. Also the 3-button controller was weird. Like, sorry, 6-button got way, but like if you had a 6-button controller, it was like the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, that Super Nintendo one was still a great controller to use, even when using my Super Nintendo Classic.
Right.
I love it.
Like, it's just such a good controller. And like the 3-button Genesis controller, the big one that they came out with initially, you're like, yeesh, this thing is huge. But then they had the smaller button, the 6-button controller, and for like Mortal Kombat and stuff, it was perfect. Like, it was such a good controller.
I never had that one.
Yeah, like that was like, once I got a 6-button controller, I was immediately like, okay, this is it. Like, this is exactly how I'm going to be doing this.
Just put more buttons on the controller and you win.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it just made it like there was you didn't have to do certain button combo. Like, it just was so much nicer. And yeah, like again, they were just trying everything that they could. Sega had that. I don't know if you ever heard of the Sega Channel, which was like the precursor to the end. Like, they just tried all this shit, and it just kind of fizzled out, which kind of sucks. Because like, what's funny is I knew a ton of people that owned a Genesis. I didn't know one person who owned a Saturn all. Like,
Yeah.
no one gave a shit about the Saturn because the PlayStation came out and just everyone just
it was
loved
over.
it. But yeah, like PlayStation came out and, dude, imagine just how different it would be if Nintendo didn't tell Sony, nah, never mind. Like,
right?
How much different
if they would have
shit
came
would be.
out with a console together?
Yep,
yeah.
like they originally planned. So,
Well, one company pissed off the other, and I think that's why PlayStation just said, "Hey, we're just going to make our own console." And
yep, that's
the rest
essentially
is
what
history.
happened. And now PlayStation 4 and PlayStation as a brand is ridiculous and taking over the world. So, good for them. But yeah, Nintendo probably is bummed out that didn't happen. But also too, I mean, it's crazy because if you think about this too, though, is like if PlayStation didn't happen, all these franchises we have would Nintendo have made? Probably not. You think
right.
Nintendo would have approved The Last of Us? Nah. Like, you think any of those first-party Sony titles, like just think about that. All the first-party Sony titles, if they partnered with Nintendo, would Nintendo have been cool with greenlighting Detroit or Horizon or God of War or any of those?
Yeah,
Probably.
or even how Final Fantasy even turned out when it went over to the PlayStation. That was my first whoa moment with the original PlayStation was Final Fantasy VII, and
yeah,
I'll never forget that game. That's one of the highlights of my gaming career.
Yeah,
just playing through that.
Absolutely, that was the system that started getting me into RPGs. Because, like I said, on Genesis, there were RPGs, but not those like classic ones you think of: Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Super Mario RPG. Like those are all Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I skipped on those entirely. But like I started getting into RPGs on PlayStation, and yeah, dude, like that thing became the greatest RPG machine pretty much ever. It was just like all of Square stuff, all of these games, and everybody abandoned Nintendo basically, like, which kind of sucked, but
yeah,
everybody was just like, no, we'll start making games for PlayStation, and that thing just pumped out. It seemed like there were so many just JRPGs that were on there, and like Western RPGs weren't as popular at the time, but like JRPGs were coming out left and right on that thing.
Yeah, well, like you said, PlayStation seemed to give more freedom to developers to create the games they wanted to.
Right.
And plus, with the advent of disc versus cartridges, which Nintendo was foolhardy on the cartridges still, that I think that the manufacturing cost, a lot of creators saw the differences, so that's why they moved over to PlayStation. And, that really put Nintendo behind. They sold only 31 million consoles for the N64, and so
PlayStation sold like 100 million, like something
right.
like that. Yeah,
you could see the difference. So
it's crazy to think that a company could make 4 disc games and they were still cheaper than cartridges. Like they chose a console where they had to make 4 discs for a single game, and they were still like, "That's a better console. Like that's more cost effective than cartridges." That's insane.
It sounded better, and the only downside were the load times.
Yeah, I mean, just depending on the game. Like some of the load times and stuff were really bad. The music was definitely there. That was the one thing I loved. Obviously, I've mentioned it here before. I started skateboarding and like stopped playing video games because of Tony Hawk. Because Tony Hawk was just, and like that music. It was music. It was full on music, and it was amazing. And then like on 64, it was like the sound bites, like just enough for the level, like they didn't have, like it just wasn't as good, and
all fuzzy and
fuzzy, and it didn't sound right. Like on CD, it sounded so much better. But also too, I remember there were games where I want to say, I'm trying to remember the game, but there were certain games that like could load, but then you could like pop the disc out and like put in music CDs that would play. I believe.
Oh,
like,
that's that. I remember hearing something about that too.
Yeah, there was also, I remember the cool thing was, in my grandma's CD player, I had Tomb Raider 2, and I put Tomb Raider 2's game in a CD player, and it actually played the soundtrack of the game. And I was like, well, that's cool. My grandma's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting
kind
games
of music
in my...
is this?
Yeah, what is this? I'm like, well, it's the soundtrack of the game. So, yeah, I mean, they had different cool things like that. But yeah, 64, like, so... going that route, you said you got a 64, but were you PlayStation during that generation, or did you actually go 64 route?
Funny enough, I never owned a PlayStation, original PlayStation. Like I said, my friend James, he would buy everything opposite that I had. So he had the PlayStation, and I experienced Final Fantasy VII on the PC actually. So I know it's synonymous with PlayStation, but when it came out for PC, that's when I got heavily into it. But yeah, the N64 I really wanted, because at that time I was, still a young little lad, and I just wanted Mario 64, because it was like the newest, greatest thing to come out, like just full 3D environments, and it looked fantastic. And I remember wanting my parents to buy me one so much that I line up all the magazines on my floor so that they're like trying to step around these things like Mario and whatever other games were coming out at the time.
It's like subliminal messaging. You're like N64, and just all over the place.
I tired them. Yeah, I think I pissed them off so bad just from
I
saying I need this. Yeah, and they bought me one, so
nothing wrong with that. And like I said, at least they were cool about it. I mean, like some parents were like, video games are the devil, get the hell outside, go, throw a football, go play sports or something. Then there's, parents that were cool about it. Like my parents never really gave me any grief on it because I also did well in school. So, I mean, they never gave me any crap for it. They were just like, you have A's. What am I going to do? Like, when you're bad, I'll take it away.
Really take it away.
Yeah, when you're bad, I'll take away that because I know you love that more than anything. But yeah, I mean, that was like, it's funny because like I had no brand loyalty up until like, not brand loyalty, but like I didn't really care about, like I went from Nintendo to Genesis to PlayStation. Like I didn't give a shit of what Nintendo did. Like going forward after the NES, I didn't give a shit about what Sega did after the Genesis. Like I just was like jumping back and around, and it is cool though that you have that friend that had the opposite. So at least you got to experience at that time, because the worst is now is when people tell me, man, you should go back and play this game. And some of those games just aren't, like, I just can't because they're just jarring and they're just not that good. But yeah, you miss it. Like everybody's like, oh man, you didn't play GoldenEye. I'm like, no, I didn't. And they're like, you should go play it. And I play it. And I'm like, I don't want to play this shit. Like this is not that fun of a game. But back then it was incredible and groundbreaking and so good. And yeah, I play it now. And like same thing with Perfect Dark, dude. I played Perfect Dark. I'm like, no, like I don't want to play this shit, man.
At the time, you had to be at the specific place and time for that type of game. And I adored GoldenEye so much. I unlocked everything. I used to think I was the greatest, and this is before online gaming, obviously, but I was the greatest player in the world, and I would always beat my friends down in the when we all get together in front of our tiny little TV screen with the 4 boxes, trying to see what's going on. But I always beat them down. Then there was this one guy named David Dodge. He was a friend of mine, but he said, okay, you need to play me sometime. I'm like, oh, I'll just beat him too. And he absolutely owned me. And I was like, there's someone else in the world that can actually take me on and beat me. I couldn't believe it.
That's always the funniest thing in the world, because back, like, you always had, what I always had the experience with was like, dude, my buddy's good at Mortal Kombat, man. No. My friend's good at Mortal Kombat, man. He'd mess him up. No, man, he'd mess, like, you had that happen. Like, it's so funny because that was always a thing, because before the internet, you just had the neighborhood dude who was awesome at fill in the blank game. Like, it didn't matter. Like, but then you had to get that guy to go play against this other guy from a different neighborhood and see who's better. Like, it was like Gang Wars, but with Smash Brothers, or, Mortal Kombat. Oh, yeah. NBA Jam. Like, it was just so funny because, like, and again, then the internet happens and you realize you're terrible at every game and there's someone insanely better than you forever. That's what happened to me in fighting games that ruined it. I stopped. I was like, Mortal Kombat was awesome. I was playing all these fighting games, and then when I went online,
beat anybody,
just getting my ass beat left and right. And I'm like, I'm done with fighting games, because no matter how good I think I am, there's someone entirely better in every way, shape, and form who could probably beat me just by hearing it and turning off the damn TV.
Plays religiously, 24/7.
Knows frame counts and shit that I didn't even think about, like just next level shit. And that's why I got out of the fighting games. I just like got to a point where I was just so shitty. I just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play this anymore. I'll just stop. So
get your sibling to play it. Then you'll feel better.
Yeah, exactly. But the
beat up on your sibling.
Yeah, but the problem is it's not fun to beat up on like a younger sibling when you like. That's how I did with the Pokemon card game I used to play, because I was really big into Pokemon. And I was like, my sister's like, I want to learn how to play, because she was just bored one day, And I was like, sure, I'll show you. And I showed her. I'm like, all right, let's play a game. And I like stomp her I like do my turn in 2 seconds. And she's like, okay,
I'm done.
Draw a card. What do I do here? I'm like, I'm just beating her up. And I'm like, this isn't fun. She's just sitting here like just being fodder for me to like feel better. But, yeah, no, like then, yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden you get to a point where you're like, oh no, you're not good at this game. There's somebody entirely better. So thanks, Internet, for ruining fighting games. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Internet.
Yeah. But again, like it humbles you because again, but the only thing that's cool is when that stuff happened, but you happened to be the better person at the games and you felt a little better. You were like, yeah, because there's only certain games that as we speak, I feel I'm better than the majority of my friends at, like Rock Band. Done. Guitar, drums, I'm better than most of my friends. Trials.
Awesome.
Trials HD or Fusion or, like any of those Trials games, I'm a freak when it comes to them, and I will replay a level 1,000 times to shave off like half a second to try to get better. But again, those are the only games that I felt confident in. Like, did you ever have any of those games that you felt that confident in when you were growing up?
Yeah. Most recent example is probably Dark Souls, the Souls series in general. Like, I feel I can hold my own, even in player versus player online matches. Like, if you invade my game, you better be prepared for a fight, because I'm not,
That's so awesome.
I'm not giving up. Yeah. I wasn't much of an invader, though. I don't like messing up other people. I feel bad if I, defeat them and take all their soul, and they have to get back to their souls again. I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to help out other people, though. That's always fun, take on a boss. And yeah, Soul series, that's another one that I just think that's the best video game series I've ever played, bar none. And yeah, I hold it in high regard.
And didn't that remaster come out today?
Yeah, it did. It did.
I'm surprised you're doing the podcast with me. I'm surprised you're.
Yeah, I know, right? It looks beautiful.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to get back into it.
Yeah, speaking of games where you can help out people or be a complete dick, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto Online lately, and I lose faith in humanity in that game because I get into an online lobby with my buddies, and we're doing something cool, and we have to go run this mission, and some dude who's just level 600 who has nothing better than to do in the game is just like, oh, that guy's trying to do a resupply for his business. I'm just going to fucking blow him up with my DeLorean and then just drive away like nothing happened. And again, it's sad because you get into certain lobbies where it's like, are these people cool or are these people going to be a bunch of dicks if we're going to try to do stuff? So like, again, though, it's kind of the nature of Grand Theft Auto. So again, it's like encouraged, but you also do get encouraged for doing good things and not killing people randomly. But no, that's the type of game lately that I'll try to hop on for like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, I can do this quick motorcycle club mission. Cool, let me do this. And I do it, and some asshole just drives by. He's like, that's cool. Kills me, takes my shit and leaves. And I'm like, I'm just mad at the game. I'm like, all right, I can't do this. But no, like, at least certain games are... But also I can help out other people, and other people have been cool in the game to help me out. So I just like it.
Yeah,
people
I like
nice.
Those procedurally generated online type of games where you feel like you can make a difference, and just... That's what makes the Soul series grow so great to me, is that it feels like you can always just help, or if you want to be a dick, you just invade somebody.
Right, yeah,
and
you can do it if you want to. And
that's another thing too. Overwatch, I think that's done a lot to help the online community as a whole as well. Like, I'm not a multiplayer gamer primarily, but when Overwatch came out, I still play that. It's been out for 2 years now. I still try to get on once a week, at least, have a few gaming sessions.
Right.
They're always updating. I'm sure Grand Theft Auto Online, I haven't played that, but I'm sure it's the same way where they're just updating.
They've updated that game. Like, I played it when it first came out, and I was like, this is fun. And I literally didn't, it was off my radar. I did not play it. And then my buddies are like, do you realize all the shit you can do in this game now? And I'm like, no. And as soon as I get into his world and he shows me all the things they've added, I was just blown away. I was like, this is crazy. But again, when you hear Grand Theft Auto 5 sold 95 million copies now, they made money. And online,
it's unreal.
Yeah. And they already said, like, who cares if Red Dead's out? We're still making content for Grand Theft Auto Online because that thing's raking in so much money for them. So, yeah. But like, Overwatch is such a good example of listening. Like, it's the perfect balance. Like, you can play by yourself and feel like you're helping, You can play with a team and feel like you're doing well. They don't screw you over with any microtransactions, but they also don't feel you have to buy them. They constantly add skins that are timed, which is the perfect thing in the world because you're encouraging people to come back to your game on a regular basis.
And they're awesome looking skins too. Makes you want to.
Yeah, like they're super cool. And I love just the fact that I have buddies who will just drop everything to play Overwatch because of some Halloween skin for somebody. I'm just like, all right. And I mean, you'll see it happen.
Give me that Mercy witch skin right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like everyone and their mother will just stop to play that. But that's the other game too. That's like, it's weird because, like I said, it can be very competitive, but also too, you can get in there and just be a healer and just heal up everybody and just do your thing. And like, you feel like your skill level doesn't have to be so high to be good at that game. Like,
it's the first game I feel that's been released that meshes all that. All so well. Like, it can be completely skill or just like you're tripping to the team. So, that's why I love that game. Casual, enough. Like, whatever's helping people come into games the first time, even people that like me, I love it for that. So,
yeah, like I just feel that that's always been a good thing, is just to encourage, like, even if somebody doesn't play games, you could be like, hey, just do these basic things, and it's helpful to the team. Like, you don't have to be that pro gamer. Of course, when you see pro gamers play Overwatch, you're like, holy shit, this is on like another level of the things you can do.
Right.
But it's also like that fine balance. It's like, even if you're a brand new person, or if you've been playing this 100 times, you don't have that like higher level to the point where, oh, I'm such a high level, I have all these abilities you don't. It's like, no, I just look different. I'm just, I have a visual difference to me. That's it. So they did it right, and some games don't, but they did a really good job. So some games, cater to like the hardcore audience, which to me, that's why I'm not saying I dislike Dark Souls, but I just never got into it. But I just felt like as the games got 2 and 3 came out, like, you had to be in that crowd to be like, holy shit, I'm so pumped for this game. And then other people were like, that's cool that it's coming out, but I don't know if I'm going to like it, or, like that's like, there's certain games that get like that, like certain games that if you're not part of that crowd, you just don't get as excited for them, but they're still good games. They're just different crowds and everything for different gamers.
That's it. When people just say something's objectively bad, even though they don't like it, that's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Welcome to the internet. Like the example, Star Wars Battlefront 2. People lost their fucking minds over it. Hey, guess what? You don't have to buy shit. You could be an adult and just not buy things. You could, and I get it. It's easy. Like that's like in Grand Theft Auto, there is an option to spend $100 real world dollars to get like $8 million in that game. Now, granted, $8 million in that game takes a very long time. Why do they have the option? Because people do it. Because
someone might want to.
Right, because Rockstar is going to take advantage of somebody who's... They say taking advantage, but also, hey, stupid, if you're going to put in your card and hit the button for $100, Rockstar's not going to tell you no. So, sorry. You want cool shit for Grand Theft Auto Online for free? It's because of those people buying $100 shark cards.
Right.
But I mean, like, Overwatch, like I said, they did it right, because it's just like, hey, it's just all skins and all loot boxes and it's all random and do all that stuff. So, that's basically what I like about how they did it. But also, too, they had to eat their shit when Diablo 3 came out and how that, like, completely backfired. The whole online auction house, like, that ruined the game. So, it seems like Blizzard's the one that can make it right. So,
just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy, because like the Star Wars Battlefront games are a good example, because my kids love to play those games. Like, they don't care about all the behind the scenes microtransaction stuff that's going on. They just like to play a Star Wars game, and for that, it's absolutely fine.
It's awesome.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's great, and it looks gorgeous, and it's just a fun game.
Yeah.
Like, that was the one thing, like, just, I mean, obviously the internet will jump on something and hate on it forever and it blows up, but, like, Shadow of War, I played and beat Shadow of War. I did it 100%. I never felt one single need to buy anything. And
It was perfect. It was still a great experience,
It was so good. And I mean, everybody's like, oh, you have to, they make you want, they make you, and like, no, they don't make you do anything. They give you an option if you want to, or you could just play the game. And I played and beat the game. I didn't spend one, even like the free currency that you got throughout the game to be able to buy boxes to get more characters. I never did. I just didn't.
You don't even have to do that.
Right. I didn't even have to do that. So I'm like, hey guys, tell me how many of you actually felt the need to buy loot boxes, or you were just lazy and wanted to buy them and you got mad that was an option. So
yeah, or just complain. Period.
Yeah, just jump on EA. Like the fact that like certain things, like the Black Ops trailer was like the most downvoted trailer ever or something, or
yeah,
or the fact that EA's comment on Battlefront was like the most downvoted Reddit comment. Like, shut up. EA's the worst company in the world. Really, EA's the worst company in the world. You gotta
give me a break.
Yeah, these are fucking video games, people. Calm down.
Yeah,
it's just stupid. So
exactly.
So obviously, but I mean, again, that's back then. We didn't have to worry about that because we had cheat codes. So
yeah, right, we had game genies and all that good stuff.
Hey, guess what, everybody? Your prior loot box was called Game Genie. You had to buy that thing. So shut up.
Yep.
There you go.
And it broke your game sometimes.
Dude, it broke them hard. And the worst was like if you put in a code wrong, it would just fucking sometimes just not make a game work, or it'd be just all sorts of broken. But that was your loot boxes that you had to buy back in the day was Game Genie. So you want unlimited lives, pay $30 for this. Oh, then you have to buy the codes there, to buy the books.
Yeah, you got everything separately.
Yep. So there you go, people. That was where your loot boxes were before then, and nobody gave a shit because you got 100 lives in Mario. So stop talking. Yeah. So then after 64, where did you head down that road? Did you go to PlayStation then, or like did you go GameCube? What did you do?
Yeah, after seeing what my friend had with the PlayStation, PS2 was the next major console that I bought, and that's from there on. I was pretty much a PlayStation man from then on, and I have been since. I own all three consoles this gen, but I never. Yeah, I had the original Xbox, and my friend gave me his Xbox 360, which it red green, so
Shocker.
I didn't have that for very long. And so yeah, I've just stuck with PlayStation, and like you said, it's been rewarding. I can't imagine my love for gaming wouldn't be what it is today without PlayStation. I can honestly say that, just from some of the highlight releases they've had and my experience. I haven't had very many bad experiences at all with PlayStation. So, yeah.
I mean, I around that time, like around the end of the 64 PlayStation 1 era and like beginning of PS2 and Xbox and all those, I wasn't into gaming as much, so I kind of like missed out on that stuff. But then I got a job at a game store where that became my life again. So like I got all of them, and I think that was around the time, and I've mentioned this before, I think that was around the time when people got a GameCube and then either of the other consoles. Like you couldn't have just one console anymore. Like there was just so much variety and so much shit that people had to have like a GameCube for your Nintendo classics, Smash, Mario Kart, Mario Party, everything Nintendo came out. And then
Mario exclusives.
Exactly. Like all your Nintendo exclusives, Metroid Prime, Zelda, all that shit. But then you had to have either PlayStation or Xbox to get like the other fix of games, because that's where Nintendo like really started fucking up with like not getting third-party games from people, like because they went their own route with this, but tiny ones. And you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
What is this?
Why are we doing this? But no, like, I mean, that was the thing, is I think that was around the generation. So that's around that time, though, you just had PS1. That was it. Like, you didn't, like, were your friends?
You didn't need anything else.
Yeah. I mean, that was, like, honestly, when PS2 happened, that was when that was getting so much support from all these people. And then they were, you know, like, you had other companies, like, you know, people like BioWare that were putting games out on Xbox that weren't, you know, on PlayStation. Obviously Capcom was fucking loving Nintendo at the time, and they put out so many good games on GameCube first, which was surprising, but really awesome. But then PlayStation was like every other company in the world, like Square. Like Square would just come out with everything. And then all of the games that Sony was producing, like there was just so much shit going on.
Yeah, and that's where they really differentiated themselves from the crowd. Like you said, Nintendo just had their tentpole releases, declined third-party support, and Xbox was on another plane trying to do their online support and get everything in line with their original Xbox. And then that came to fruition with the 360, where they had the Xbox Live Marketplace. Yeah. And they had their own niche over there. It's funny how that changed around, though, where the 360 era, they started to come out on top, and it was because they were listening to what the customers wanted.
Right. I felt like, in a way, like, Xbox was doing what Sega was doing, whereas they were trying to do all these IPs and hoping they would stick. They were like, oh, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this IP. That didn't work. Let's try this. It didn't work. So there was a lot of testing like on their end. Obviously, Halo and Xbox Live, that was enough for people to own the console, period. Like, that sold a lot. But then, of course, it's funny because it sucks because, like, Xbox, during the original Xbox, had, like, Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire and, you know, Morrowind.
Oh, like Jade Empire.
Yeah, Morrowind and, you know, the Elder Scroll games. And it also got some of the PC releases that weren't coming out on PS2. Like, it got Half-Life 2, it got Doom, or Doom 3. And it's crazy because, like, that had its own, like, thing going on, but they had so many good RPGs. And then 360 came out and they were still trying, but just nobody in Japan gives a shit about the Xbox. And that's where it got sad, because now it's like, if you want an RPG machine, it's always been PlayStation since, like, PS1. Like, if you want to play RPGs, you seriously just go buy a PlayStation.
And they tried. They released, like, Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon. They really tried to push for Japan, and it just didn't work.
Yep, it really didn't. And so, I mean, again, I get it, because they were an American company in Japan, and Sony was a Japanese company, and Nintendo was a Japanese company. Like, no shit. Like, we knew what was going to happen. But also, too, like, I will say, like, I'm happy that eventually it started getting somewhat better. You know, 360 got Final Fantasy, which was cool. Mm-hmm. Xbox One is getting Kingdom Hearts, which is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, have fun
playing
Kingdom
even
Hearts.
have any other Kingdom Hearts
No,
game
they
out
don't.
There,
and I'm a huge
crazy,
Kingdom Hearts fan, and they don't have shit. And it's like, have fun trying to tell people, here's Kingdom Hearts 3. You haven't played any of these other ones in this franchise.
Right.
At all. Like,
it's not like Final Fantasy, which is his own separate releases. You need to have you almost have had to play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 to understand anything.
And guess what?
If you want to know the story.
As a big Kingdom Hearts fan, have fun trying to even play those games and make sense of that shit, because it's bananas.
It's
like,
bonkers.
It's so insane. And I have a daughter, she was playing Kingdom Hearts, and it was cool because, like, I didn't play Kingdom Hearts. I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 1 forever. I got the remaster for PS4. She's like, how are these games? I'm like, duh, they're, like, really good. I love them. I have posters. They're really good games. So she started playing Kingdom Hearts 1, and she was like, what's funny, she was like, what's going on here? And I'm like, shit, your guys is as good as mine. I don't remember any of this shit. And then she's playing Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm sitting here watching her play Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm like, man, that moment's cool. That moment's cool. That summon's cool. But then she's like, what's going on in the story? I'm like, I swear to God, even if you pay attention, it's hard to keep track.
As much as I love, the Kingdom Hearts series, I think I don't like how they manage the story. Because when I play a game,
9 games and 12
like
platforms,
that, yeah, I just want to play something where I just go into different Disney properties with these Final Fantasy characters and, and kick ass. That's that's about it.
And maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 will come out this year. Just maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
E3's right around the corner. We're going to find out.
I really hope so. They said they were going to announce the release date at the beginning of June. Either at E3 or at some sort of, like, orchestra convent something. I don't know. Square usually does their own weird shit where they have, like, weird announcements and, like, conferences for their own games and whatever. So yeah, E3 can't wait. Should be fun. Just re-release just that HD collection of 1.5, 2.5 on Xbox, and just do that. Just you don't need to. I don't know. Or you're gonna have to have some, like, 5-hour YouTube video that you're gonna give people links to start going and watch, because that was the one thing. Like, after she left, like after she was done playing, I was like, I have to go back. I just watched a YouTube video trying to remember the story, and even watching the YouTube video, you're like, geez, dude, this is fucking convoluted and just
this is something
nightmare.
With Organization 13 and
and nobody's Heartless and just what in the world is going on? And Roxas is Sora's Heart. It's just crazy.
Number 2, I really didn't like.
I was like,
I think I like one better.
Again.
Just because how the tutorial was so long with Roxas, and I didn't know what was going on there. Plus, I didn't like how after every fight scene you go into some type of story segment, like cutscene. They looked beautiful, but it just didn't make sense to me, and it really slowed the pace of that game down. So I'm hoping they really do a 180 with Kingdom Hearts 3.
By the way, how the fuck does Kingdom Hearts 3's Toy Story level look better than the Toy Story movies? How is that possible? Like,
it's amazing.
Like the graphics of 3, like even Toy Story 3, like if you go look at the gameplay clip that they have of like Toy Story in Kingdom Hearts, it looks better than the CG only in Toy Story 3. I was looking at that like, shit, they look really good.
Pixar level quality in video games.
Yeah. It is here. Like, I was like, holy shit. The other thing too that's really jarring, go back and watch Toy Story 1.
That is so jarring.
It'll mess your mind up for a bit. You're like, I used to think this was the best looking thing on earth, and this is blotchy. And
it's still a great movie.
Oh no, story is amazing, but no, like it's just. But it's the same thing with games, though. I mean, the thing is, you said Mario 64, the graphics were amazing. Go back and look at it now. Like, everything's a triangle, and Mario's nose is very pointy, but again, that's what we had to work with. But now
I love that little Easter egg in Super Mario Odyssey.
Yes, God, when that happened, I was like,
that was so great.
Oh, it's like so good. So obviously, like you said, you kind of been a PlayStation person since. So then you got a 360 kind of like afterwards. So like around that time though, that was when PlayStation wasn't doing as awesome. Like that was definitely where 360 was doing better. Were you primarily still a PlayStation gamer at that time, or did you kind of hop back and forth? Or?
Oh yeah, like I said, I was disgusted once because I was a big Fallout 3 fan, and I put in over 100 hours on the 360, and when that thing crashed, I was sort of like, okay, I'm done with this. And I haven't been back. I have an Xbox One S, but that's mainly for 4Ks and 4K Blu-rays and for Cuphead. I just really need to play that. So I've been PlayStation mainly ever since. I had a Wii given to me, and I played like the Galaxy. I just dabbled in other games that I wanted to play from other systems.
Right.
But yeah, the Switch has sort of actually renewed my love for Nintendo again, as great of a console as it is, and the games that they're releasing with it. So, yeah, like I said, right now I'm primarily PlayStation and Nintendo, and that's probably what I'm going to stay at for the foreseeable future, just because they both have games that I love to play. And, Yeah,
I with Wii, I was like, Nintendo doesn't give a shit about Nintendo fans. Like, they were doing Wii Play and Wii Sports and Wii Fit and all these games that just people who love Nintendo were like, we don't want this shit. Like, we want good games. We want Mario, we want Metroid, we want Zelda. And the Zelda games that came out on that console weren't bad, but they weren't like mind-blowing, like, this is my favorite Zelda ever, like, they weren't incredible. Wii U happened, and they were just trying the same shit, and nobody cared about the controller and the fact that it didn't work like 5 feet away from your console. Like that realization of the Switch like didn't happen until Switch happened, and then when it did, people were just like, "This is what I wanted this whole time." And now, my favorite thing in the world, which I give Nintendo all the credit in the world for, is they are literally taking every amazing Wii U game and just saying, "Here you go. Here's your deluxe Switch version," which they absolutely deserve to do, because there was good games in the Wii U on a console that sold 13 million consoles. And that's depressing. Like, the fact that like Captain Toad and Mario Kart 8 and Smash for Wii U, like, they were stuck on that console just sucked. And now, like, they're basically, dude, whenever I see, like, Donkey Kong came out, Captain Toad's coming out, Mario Kart 8, all these games that had Wii U versions that are coming out on Switch, I'm like, good for you guys, because this console's selling, the other console's not. Good for you guys, because you already put in the work. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is amazing. It looks way better. It has all the DLC, and they sold another 20 million copies of the game.
DKC Tropical Freeze. I'm surprised by how great that is, too. And like you said, I'm so glad that they're doing this. Like, many people don't see the point in porting these games over to the Switch, but for a lot of people, it makes perfect sense. Like me, that didn't have it. And it's crazy to me that the Wii U sold just a little bit more than the Vita. Like, that blows my mind. For how obscure the Vita is, and I love my Vita, but yeah, it's just not.
That's a Nintendo home console.
Hybrid that they. Yeah.
Think of that. That's a Nintendo home console. The Wii before it sold 100 million consoles, and then I think it sold 13.
The Vita and the Wii U, if you mesh those together, I think that's what the vision for the Switch is, Well, and it works. Yeah.
The Switch is literally Nintendo home console quality games on the go, which everybody wanted, and it happened. Like, the fact that you could play Zelda or Mario Odyssey or any of those games portable is insane.
It's the Switch effect. Like, I'll probably buy Dark Souls Remastered again for the Switch, because I wanted to play on the go. Or Skyrim.
I will say, like, I'm right there with you, where I have all three consoles. I'm primarily Xbox, but I have the PlayStation for the exclusives. I have Nintendo for the exclusives. And, like, lately, there's certain games that will, like, get my attention, but, like, God of War is so goddamn good.
Oh, man.
God of War is really good. I haven't finished it yet. That's the other thing, too. Way longer than I thought it was ever going to be.
It is.
Like, it's long. It's long. I'm like,
how could they make this into this, like, open world grandiose game? And they did it.
And then just when I thought, like, I literally ran into a situation in the game. Well, I'm not going to give spoilers, but I got to a point where I started upgrading everything. And I got to a point where I had almost everything upgraded to the max. And I'm like, I'm only, like, halfway through this game. Like, what are you talking about? I'm already maxed out all my shit. And then something happens and you're like, oh, there's a lot more I can upgrade. So, yeah, I mean, like, but again, like,
so deep.
Again, like, my thing is, I don't have much time to play games. So for me, I wanted to play games, and I go through it, I'm like, cool, I hope towards the end, and I open up a IGN wiki, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm not even halfway through this game right now? Like, damn, okay. I guess
sort of tell that we're at the pinnacle of games, because, like you said, you have God of War, which is one of the best titles ever made, in my opinion. And then you have a game like Celeste, which is also one of the best games I've ever played, platforming-wise and just game design-wise. But both titles are so different.
Of course, yeah.
That it just amazes me that that's where we are in gaming, that we can have two totally different titles, but they can still be Game of the Year and be amazingly awesome. Like, I think Celeste is, like, near perfect platforming as it can be. Like, it's not unfair. It's just pure gameplay bliss, in my opinion. So
same thing with Cuphead, people. Cuphead's not hard. Quit fucking up. That's what you need to do.
Get good.
It's not even a matter of get good. It's just figure it out. Like, it's not like, okay, so it's not a hard game. It's just a matter of systems. You figure out what's causing you to die.
It's natural progression. You as you play more, you get better at it.
Right.
Yeah. It's a great learning curve.
I adore Cuphead. I actually have it as my screensaver or my wallpaper.
That's the reason I have my Xbox One S, is just for Cuphead.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Cuphead is quite a good game. And again, that was like one of the games, like, it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen for other reasons. Like, God of War and Horizon and Gears 4 on an Xbox One X are great. Like, they're just ridiculous. Like, they're next level realistic. But then when you see Cuphead and realize the hard work that everybody did to draw that game, and I'm just like, I love this game. This is such a good game. But again, like, it's funny that won, like, best art direction, and there was games that were like Breath of the Wild and shit that were going against it, and they're like, nah, Cuphead did a really good job, and that's going to win, like, best art direction. So good for them.
It deserves to win.
Like, I'm sorry, Breath of the Wild can win 1,000 other awards. Give Cuphead best art direction. Knock it off. Like, it's fun. So if people wanted to check you out, play games with you online, obviously you mentioned a podcast earlier, where would they go check all that out at?
Okay, well, on Twitter, you can find me at @MinusTheBrant. That's MinusTheBrant. That's my PSN name. On Xbox, I'm #TheBrant PS, just because I didn't have a name at the time, and #TheBrant was taken, so I put a PS for PlayStation, because I'm primary PlayStation.
In your Xbox tag, you put PlayStation.
My friends, two of my podcasting buddies, they are diehard Xbox, and it drives me absolutely nuts.
Right.
So I sort of rub it in their face when I can.
That's funny.
They don't get there too many chances, though. So Ouch. Right. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine.
No console wars here.
No, yeah. No, I mean, here's what sucks. I feel like if you don't own everything, you're missing out. Like, to just say, fuck Xbox. Like, sorry, there's good games you're only going to play on Xbox. I'm sorry. Like, and I understand they may not be for everybody, but there's still good games that people should experience on every console. Like,
I want every console to succeed because everyone's doing something completely different and trying to innovate, which good for them. That's what I want. I want a healthy console battle here.
Yeah,
you know?
And honestly, like I'm primarily an Xbox gamer, but I'm also happy in a way that Xbox got its face stomped in for a good part of this generation because it's forced them to do things that they may not have given a shit about, like backward compatibility.
They're doing awesome things now.
Dude, they're doing Game Pass, backward compatibility, like OG Xbox backward compatibility. Jesus Christ. Like, they're doing
I can play Jade Empire again.
And it's in 4K on an Xbox One X. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, everybody, just go play everything. Don't hate on it because it's got an Xbox logo or a PlayStation logo. Shut the hell up and go play games.
Yeah. Back to the plugs.
Yes.
I was in the podcast Life of Gaming. You can check out all their episodes. We're on a hiatus right now, but actually I'm going to bring back a new podcast soon, which I'm not going to give too many details yet, but it's going to be focused on indie titles, which that's where my heart and soul is right now, because I love how the Switch is releasing quality indie titles every week. So, I'll give the heads up when that's going to launch soon. We have ideas rolling for that. So, yep.
And if you guys want to check him out anywhere, I'll have links in the show notes as well. So if you want to just do a quick follow of him and all the things he does, feel free to check him out there. So, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing all of your stories and chatting with me about games. I appreciate it.
It was awesome. I appreciate you having me. And I wish you the best. I mean, from what it sounds like, you do an awesome job hosting. And keep it rolling,
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right. And again, thank you, Josh, for being on the show. If you guys want to check him out and everything, go on Twitter at _the_Brant. So feel free to check him out there. He also has a link on his Twitter for the NintendoVillage.com. So feel free to go there, check him out, support him, follow him on Twitter and also the gaming platforms that he mentioned. At _the_Brant. Again, if you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group. Just search up Growing Up Gaming. And we also have a YouTube channel. Just search up GUG Podcast in the search and you will find it there. Feel free to hit a subscribe or a like or a comment. Also, apparently iTunes reviews are helpful. So if you guys get a moment, if you could be so kind to go leave me a nice review on iTunes or a really bad one. Just, saying, hey, your show sucks, make your show better. Either way, I just want to make sure that you guys are happy with the show each and every week. Thank you guys so much for returning, and I will catch you guys next week with another new episode. See ya.